y'all. I am not gonna lie, I am cozy and on the couch right now because your girl is tuned in to the FSU game. So yes, y'all know I am a big Florida State fan. But today I have a few questions. So a few weeks ago I had went on my Instagram stories and I was just like, what y'all want to know in Q&As throughout Vlogmas. So today I'm gonna answer like 3 or 4 questions. I'm gonna save the questions for throughout the month and not answer all in one sit down Q&A. So I thought that'd be cool today. But let's go ahead and start with our devotional for the day. So which one? We got 2 to the app. Let me see which one I want to share. Oh, I love this one. So how about we do, hold on. So how about we do honorable is the title, and it says, never pay back evil with more evil. Do things in such a way that everyone can see that you are honorable. Romans 12:17. Love that. Obviously, I feel like that one speaks for itself, but I feel like being an honorable person and just really being the bigger person is something I've practiced a lot throughout my life. I would say I don't really get back at people. I don't really go back and forth. Like typically when something just don't work out, I typically wrap it up, move my life forward. And typically when people have spited me or done really like backstabbing and shit, I typically, really just don't do anything envious back. And it's crazy because I've had friends in the past who have like done things like slept with somebody I was dating to get back behind my back after. Like I've just never been one of those types of people. I feel like your karma for doing stuff like that be 10x. And I feel like people, when you really do envious things back, you're really miserable with yourself. Like if you're really happy and you're doing what you need to do with your life, you typically just don't do that. I've never been like a real envious or jealous person. So that's how we gonna kick this one off. Do whatever you need to do. Do whatever you need to do to be honorable, honey. And second, if somebody has wronged you, I promise you, when they be saying that God will make your enemies aware and really make a footstool out of your enemies. Yeah, let me tell you something, honey. That is real. I done seen it plenty of times. You know how they be saying I'm one of God's favorites? I am. I've seen it work out like that. But anyway, I'm just playing. But anyway, let's get into like 5 questions that I'll share with you guys today. Chloe, you mind? Girl. Just walking out through my video. One question is, how do you deal with being a Black woman in a predominantly white or male field? I feel like in the beginning, I was uncomfortable, but the more that I just understood my role in the field, how I needed to keep engaging, specifically as it relates to, how I need to show up, I think it really changed my perspective on it. Like, I really don't care anymore, as bad as that may seem. I think it's one of those things that you're just going to have to accept the reality of what it is. It's like, you're a Black woman, most people around you aren't going to be Black, and I think I had an upbringing where I was brought up around a lot of other cultures or races outside of African American, so I do find that people who have not had that level of exposure typically struggle with being in non-all Black environments. But I would say I just challenge anybody to look past race and just really look at people for being people. And that typically helps because sometimes, white people are really cool. Like, I don't really have issues. And to be honest, if I'm being very, very honest, when people say it's a male-dominated field, I love working with males way more than females. Women are insecure. Women be having all type of envy, weird things. Like, I promise you, if it was a request of mine for the rest of my career, I never want a woman manager. Like most women manager, I had one woman manager so far that has been just awesome. Other than that, I typically find that women managers are weird. So I enjoy the male-dominated space, in my opinion. And obviously my experiences are biased to my experiences. Like, I'm not going to speak for everybody. I'm sure there are tons of amazing women management or leaders out there. I plan on trying to be one of those one day. But in my personal experience, I have found white males have helped progress my careers way more than Black women, period. I don't feel like I've gotten that support from them higher up. It's always white males. So yeah, let's see what else. How many hours of sleep do you get, or does it vary? What time do you wake up and sleep? I actually get really good sleep. Like my body clocks out around like 10:30, 11, to be honest, and I usually wake up about 8:30 to 9 for like my first meeting. If I am working out or doing things like when I wake up and meditate and pray, I typically give myself an hour before that. So I'll typically wake up around 7:30. If that's the case, like an hour early. I am a firm believer in sleeping. I will not go out to sleep. I will sleep when I need it. I'm not someone who's just like, I'm going to work myself to death. Like for me to show up and be energetic and coach and do those things, it definitely requires me for me to be well rested and energetic and happy, especially at my job. What I will say though, specifically as it relates to sleep and my life and my schedule, there are times where sometimes I do have so much work that I just go to sleep late. So I would say majority of the time I get really great rest, but there are times where I have to sacrifice, I have to study late, I have to do things, and in those moments I understand it's a sacrifice of my sleep and that I'm trying to advance myself and do something. So I don't look at it like I'm losing sleep. I look at it like it's necessary for me to get what I need to do done and sacrifice at that time. How do you balance career and business? Is it a daytime career than nighttime business? So pretty much, I would say that between 9 to 5, like I'm having meetings, but there are days where my day might wrap up a little earlier and then I can start my work for after work a little bit earlier. There are days that Microsoft stuff, or my day job goes later and requires me. But right now I have my life set up to where I worked really, really hard for the past 2 years to put so many systems in place. Like I have a marketing team. I got an assistant for my podcast last year. I designed and operated my life to be how I needed it to be successful. So that's something that I would tell people. When you guys are designing something or thinking of, okay, I want to become an entrepreneur and I want to have a 9 to 5, think about the fact that you have to design the system to work for you. So if you know you can only do a business that you can allocate 6 hours to a week, you need to figure out what type of business that is. For me, when I was doing everything, I realized I need to be remote, I need to do something where I'm online, and I need to do something that flows into what I do at work every day. So for me, it was like, well, what do I do at work every day? I have client consultations. So I took that same concept and developed it for my business. Because when I was doing puka, I learned a really big lesson that you can't do two opposite, like polar opposite things in your life because you're pulling in one direction or the other. Whereas now, I have a set schedule, day to day. I know I have X amount of meetings. Whether those meetings are for work or personal, they're all meetings. So it's nothing changing. It's just how much time am I actually allocating. And then, my boot camp, I only dedicate 4 to 6 hours a week to my boot camp students with the live coaching. So that's not that much time. Now, it took me months to develop the program, but they're videos. So everything that I do, I have a specific intention around why I set it up the way I do, because it allows me to thrive and really work in my life. So my phone just died. Really good one. So financial management techniques and strategies that have benefited you. So I would say that my financial plan, how I set mine up, is a little different probably than people with regular salaries. So I get paid a regular salary, and then on top of that, I get paid commissions. I get stocks as well. And then I have investments. And then I also have my business. So I have my income coming in very differently than the average person. But I would say how I set it up is my plan is my every 2-week checks, I pretty much utilize that for my spending on my life, my rent, my car note, all my bills are pretty much just secured through my base salary. And whatever I want to spend on, if I want to go out to eat, like things like that. My commissions is typically where I save. So a great example of that is if I was to make $40,000 in a commission check, I would probably only take, let's say, 10 for fun. Well, let's say like I got 40. I would only probably get back out of that maybe, let's say, 29 to 30, 28, somewhere in there. So then after I get back like 28 to 29, I would probably put aside at least 20 to 25, depending on how much I want to use or spend. So I save a lot of money every 90 days rather than trying to save every 2 weeks on my biweekly checks. I have stocks as well, and I pretty much treat my stocks as long-term savings and investments. So I don't really touch my stocks or sell them. Outside of my stock account and brokerage with my job, I have stocks that I've had, since I left college that have grown significantly, so I have an account for that. Another piece of my financial portfolio is now income off my property that I have. I have life insurance policies that I pay for every month. And then I have a 401k, which is into the 6 figures now. And that took about 5 years. So, I invest every single check into my 401k, a significant amount. The reason being is because it is pre-tax deduction. So put it this way, if I make 100K and I put 25,000 of that into my 401k for retirement every single year, I'm only taxed on basically 75,000 of my salary, if that makes sense. I'm just using numbers, but that's pretty much how that works. So it's a really great tax savings for me, and I try to find ways to do taxes. And then my business income from social media, from coaching, from my bootcamp, things like that, brand deals that I'll do, I pretty much put that money into my business bank account, and I save that money pretty much. I don't really use it. My businesses typically don't have a lot of expenses. I will say I use a lot of my social media money to get write-offs and expenses when it comes to tax season. Because, for example, if I go purchase something to vlog with, that's essentially a write-off for me. So for me to help with the amount that I pay out in taxes, since I'm in sales and it's such a high percentage, I definitely have to have a business. So that's a real big strategy of mine as well. So it will reduce my earned income over the whole year, but it will also really help me out in the amount of taxes I pay, which is a really big thing for me. So those are some of the techniques and strategies that I have in place around my finances. I would say that me being such an aggressive saver, last year when I got into that bind, y'all, where I needed 30K cash, I lost all my, not all my money, but I lost a lot of my cash that I had saved up because I had to pay for all that trucking stuff in that video I told you guys about. If I had not had thousands of dollars saved and put away, I would have been literally screwed and in debt for so long. So I think for me, a lot of people would be thinking I didn't have money, or I didn't buy bags and shoes. Things like that are really not valuable to me. When I found out the power of life insurance, I got a policy, and to be honest, I feel with my income that I'm starting to generate and be able to save from my additional sources of income, my 2 goals will primarily be real estate investments and insurance investments, because of the fact that pretty much if you have a life insurance policy, specific types, you can borrow that money against yourself and not have any penalties and not have to pay it back. So you're pretty much paying for access to treat yourself as a bank. And I have policies where in my mid-30s, I'll have access to hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars. So for me, everything is about a strategy for me. It's not always about stunning and having this or having that. I am a firm believer in let that man gift you a bag. Let that man buy you some shoes, okay? If he want to do all that for you and you want to be gifted, I'm not saying I don't ever buy myself things, but the extent of the things that you guys see that I have is typically gifted to me, and I am saving my coin. And I advise all young girls to do that. I think you should put yourself in position for any rainy day, for buying and investing in real estate, for being able to advance yourself as a woman instead of spending all this money trying to look good to go bag a man or stunt on the gram, because what else is it for, really? I think we're living in a society where a lot of women really, really value and have this like desire to be kept and taken care of as a woman, just like I do. But I think that one thing I've always stood on is the fact that I'm always going to have my own stuff. I'm always going to be able to live the way you see me living right now and how I've always lived, with or without anyone there, and I can take care of myself. Because what if I was to have kids with a man I loved and he tragically passed? What, that me and my kids gonna be having to go live in a 2-room shack somewhere because I couldn't have the foundation and stability on my own to, you know what I'm saying, like have certain things in place. I just always try to think of a rainy day. That's something my mom has always taught me, save for a rainy day. Because I promise you, every time you save some money, something's gonna happen and you're gonna have that money there. So that's what I would say. I think there was a question that would actually follow up really well. It was about dating or something. And I feel like that would be a great one to end it because it really tied into that about men. It was like, how do you not focus on men or something like that? Let me see. Hold on, y'all. I don't know where it went. It's a whole bunch of questions. But it was like, how do you not focus on men so much? Like something along the lines of that. And I am just a super, super selfish person. Like, and when I say selfish, I don't mean that I'm not selfless. Because I am one of the most selfless people there is. I would do anything for anyone. But when I say I'm selfish, I prioritize me, period. Like what my dreams are, what I want to do, where I envision myself, and whatever it takes for me to curate that experience and that reality, for me to be able to put myself in the position of what I want to do, that's how I build out my life. And the same goes for dating. So, you know, transparently, like I recently got out of a relationship a few months ago, and me and that individual have been on and off for years. And it was a great relationship. And this is an individual where I would say one thing that I truly valued about our relationship was that he would not be mad at me for wanting to hustle and get to my bag. And I wouldn't be mad at him for doing that either. Like, we both are that type of person. And I feel like it's truly important to date somebody who's equally yoked with you in that mindset of, you know what I'm saying? You don't have to focus all your attention on me. Me and my man could be in the house and we could be in 2 different rooms working on what we need to work on. You know, every morning I might not be laid up in the bed with you just cuddled up. Like, I might be downstairs working before you get up, or you might be out the bed doing what you need to do before I get up. You know, I do think it's really important to foster that type of environment and relationship if that's the type of person you are. Now, there's other people who don't value things like that as much. They don't value that space within their relationship, and they enjoy spending time together and not focusing on reaching certain financial goals. But me and my partners that I've specifically had, we don't really get in the way of somebody's grind. We are 100% there to support and enable what each other has going on, and that comes with sacrifice in itself. So I think just anybody who's not really understanding, and I believe as a woman, the less accessible you are to a man, I do think there is value in that. Even if he's your man, like, you know, you'll miss me more if I'm working and I'm doing my thing 2 days this week and you can't see me. You know what I'm saying? We'll see each other and it'll be more valuable and more amazing when we see each other versus being up under each other all day, every day. You know, so everybody has different attachment styles and what they like. So I'm just speaking for me. But I do think as a woman, like, I've never dated a guy who's like, oh yeah, you know, come fly out and see me for the weekend if we're in a long distance situation or something like that. And I'm like, you know, I really can't do that this weekend because I got X, Y, and Z to do. And they've cut me off or they've been mad or anything. They're like, honestly respect me 10 times more, that I would prioritize my business over just my emotions. And secondly, I feel like any man that I deal with has to be able to put his business before his emotions. Like, and those are better words because I want to use other words right now, but I'm trying to keep it classy on what I'm saying. But any man that's just super obsessed with like wanting to have intimate relations with you on a regular and just this, and this, and it's just nothing else serving outside of that. It's like, if you enjoy that more than going to make some money and being a leader and being able to provide, I won't want a family with you. I really won't. So, you know, that's just my 2 cents on that. But yeah, so that's all I can say. But yeah, I think this was a cute little girls chat tonight. We'll be back tomorrow. We just gonna keep it going day after day. But I thought this was really good to just give y'all a little bit of insight tonight on yeah, a few questions that came through my Instagram story. So I will see you guys tomorrow.